Go! Three, two, one, go! Three, two, one, go! Three, two, one, go!
Ladies and gentlemen, oh, camera's not working for some reason. Oh, that's not good. That's not good. Let's get rid of that. There we are. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to SimSeniors once again, and it's good to see you all. Now, we haven't actually been in this sort of rig, this setup for a little while, so it's good to actually be back on the camera. It's good to see everybody, and hope you've been enjoying the season thus far. Now, we've had a pretty good season up until this point. We've had a lot of fighting up and down the order, and the main thing to remember here is that we are coming into the penultimate round of the season tonight. We have Suzuka in the finale position in a week's time, but tonight is going to be, as you've seen by the title, it's Paul Ricard. And this is a track that is a mixed bag for many. I know that there has been a lot of different variations of the course. I think it's designed to be versatile and designed to be extremely customizable, with many different layouts available for it, but it is still a track that can produce some really good racing. What it lacks in verticality, it certainly makes up for in sort of complex corners and setups for overtakes. Now, the main thing here is, of course, going to be our drivers, and it's going to be the Spotter's Guide. Taking a look at the championship, we do have Lindblom, who currently leads in the championship by a healthy margin. We're looking at, I believe that is 36 points. So quite the margin to Frederick Gamar, who is his next closest competitor, and then Peter Wolfslener with 9 points behind him, both second and third in the Mustangs, and then Lindblom in the Honda NSX GT3. Looking at the silver side of things, it's John Mitchell who takes top honours with the 992 GT3R, and then behind him it's the two Aston Martin V8 Vantages of Alex North and Rich Arscombe. So certainly some solid drivers to be watching out for there. And then finally, in the bronze order, it is going to be Craig Niesbet, who continues to lead in that bright purple McLaren 720S, alongside Andy Trickett, and then Rog Dismukes in the Porsche 992 GT3 as well. So solid roster, and remember how this works. We have a healthy amount of drivers out on track because we're all running together. The Monday and the Tuesday nights are combined, and we have much to be looking forward to. We're going to go trackside now, and we're going to see who has what it takes to master Paul Ricard. Right out the gate, Matthias Martinsson is going to be your first out here, and is going to be your driver to watch, as he is going to be in the silver and the first driver to make his way to the start-finish line. Remember, first 10 minutes are for the silver and bronze cars only, and then the gold class cars will take the final 10 minutes of qualifying. Let's take it on board with Martinsson right now as he's off to start his lap. Let's see what times he's going to be able to muster in the Mustang. Going across the start-finish straight and pit exit. A little bit of a bump as you crest across turns 1 and 2. You rock a little bit up and down, so you've got to be careful, mindful of your rear grip levels. Cleanly executed so far. Now jumping heavy on the brakes for this next set of chicanes. Set yourself up for sector 2, goes the back straight. And that is going to be the entire back straight, no mid chicane. We're going to see these GT3s really stretch their legs. Oh, coming through nicely executed here for Martinsson. But now, when you get to the back straight here, you're going to see all of those gears being put into use. All of those cars cresting to maybe the 270, 280 mark. We know the Mustang has got a lot of pace in the tank. It's 275. Coming up onto 280. He's just going to kiss it. He's going to go for 285 here. Really stretching out the limits of that engine. 284 maxes out before he has to ride that inside apex. Coming out of the back straight now into sector 3. He deceptively tightens up this top double right-hander. Then you make your way back on to the left. It's another long-winded corner. You do get quite a mix here. You either get short, low-speed corners, or you get some real long sweepers. You don't really get much of it in between. Now rocking around the penultimate and now final corner, that final hairpin tee up, get on the throttle as soon as possible here, and Martinsson is going to be your first to set a time. What is it going to be? It's going to be a 1 minute 56.3. Will there be any challenges to that? Stuart Holmes coming through for the bronze. Meanwhile, there's a couple of cars up ahead. Rich Arscombe, 55.8. Holmes coming up to line now is going to get a 57.0. So first bronze driver to set a time on those boards here. We'll see a few more make their way. There's Alex North getting a 55.6, new fastest. I'm going to see Christian Sullivan getting a 57.2 as well. Robert Homer coming up to the line. Iro getting a 57.060 as well, perfectly matching Stuart Holmes. Robert Homer going with a .682, so only a few crucial tenths of a second. Randy Zimmer dominates the early laps with a .165. First 10 through the gates. Niesbet coming in 57.0. It's going to be Peter Smith so far, fastest bronze car. See a few more now making their way. Here's Helge Olsen. Smooth execution now coming up to the start-finish line. 15 cars now having set a time. Olsen, 57.9. You can see Damien Reed in the chat. Looking forward to seeing what you bring, mate. Number 979 looking sharp in the Lexus there. Looking forward to seeing it when the time comes. John Gabbett getting a 56.0, and with that, first set of times are on the board. Now back to Martinson. Is he going to be able to get an improvement here? Remember, 4 minutes on the clock. 4 minutes on the clock indeed. We've actually got quite a bit of wind here as well. 10 km/h side winds. We're certainly going to be seeing a bit of a challenge if you get a bit of pitch and aero sensitivity. May struggle. We'll check in with a couple of other cars. Rich Arscombe coming up to the line. Could get himself even closer to P3. Will there be an improvement? It's a .795. New best, but no new position. Let's see what some of the other drivers have in store. Invalidations coming in across the board. No signs of a new fastest from anyone just yet. Paul Murray, actually, in the number 90. Looking like he could get something here. He's currently almost a second up. Just needs to link it up with these final corners. He could stand to really jump the order here. Here comes Murray, number 90. Is he going to get into that top 5? It looks like it. 55.405. Only 5 milliseconds behind North and third on the board. Second row is secured. Meanwhile, John Mitchell, strong contender here. All the championship, of course, is going to be 18 points clear of Alex North in second. And he's going to get himself into 5th place. So not strongest in terms of qualifying, but we do know that he has some solid pace on the race side of things. John Gabbett has seemingly frozen. We can't access his camera, so it does look like we have had a disconnection or kind of technical issue, meaning that he is not currently on track. We will have to see him return in a moment. Well, as we get to the last couple of rounds of the championship, the main thing to remember is that a lot of drivers are now going to be locked into certain positions on the points order. And while there could be a championship fight on the cards, it is going to take a heck of a circumstance to make that happen. Martinson going for an even stronger improvement here. 56.3 is going to go into the 55s. It's a 55.5 here, and it's good for 5 position. Well, how many times am I going to say 5? You tell me. Few more improvements across the board. Alex North could stand to get pole position. He is looking like he's a really strong lap here. Just dropping behind, though. Final sector, he lost the time. He dominates sector 1, but 2 and 3 leave a little bit to be desired. Paul Murray could get even more on the cards here. We just had Christian Sullivan jump up into P11. Will there be any other takers? Let's get Murray through. It seems to be that last corner where quite a few drivers are making a couple of hiccups and mistakes. We'll see Colomb coming up to line as well in that red and white McLaren. 58 becomes a 57.4 and he's up into 14th. Last couple of chances here. Final 60 seconds before qualifying is considered over for bronze and silver. Then it will be gold territory all the way. We are going to see a return here. So Roger Dismiquez onto the track. Looks like there is an issue with his livery, however, as he's coming in carbon black for the whole thing. And that tends to indicate that there's been some problems with the livery set. Usually I'm expecting him in chrome pink or green or some kind of 420 theme. Let's check in with Arscombe. Arscombe is teetering on the edge of a new fastest. He's going to be potentially fighting with Alex North. You can see he flashes purple intermittently for a split second. This could be close. Remember, 55.0 and he's off to the races. 54.9. Perfect final sector, final corner. What a shot there. Beautiful stuff. Arscombe couldn't ask for anything more. Is there going to be any comeback from Alex North? It's going to be another 54.997. It's just shy of that hallowed pole, though. Very close, but not quite there. A few more cars making their way. Iro making his way up into P8. Massive slingshot up the order. Robert Homer also getting an improvement, along with a couple of other cars now coming up to the line to finish. There's going to be Colomb having another chance at a improvement here. Needs 0.4 of a second if he wants to get a new position. So let's see, coming up to the line is going to improve on time, but not on spots. And that is going to be qualifying all but done for the likes of the bronze and silvers. You're going to see Rog coming up to the line here, giving it one more go as he teeters on the edge. Unfortunately, no improvement from him here. And I see Olsen as well coming up, although slightly down on their previous. No improvements made. And qualifying now officially over. It's time to shift gears. It's time to have a look. And who is going to be else first than Lenatus? We know him to be an absolute quali rocket. We know him to be first out on the gate, first to get a time on the boards. Nothing really can stop this man. But now is the chance to see the peak pace of SIMseniors. The Season 9 drivers have been formidable. The best roster of drivers that we have seen to date, for sure. So now, coming up to line. Second verse, even better than the first. Let's find out what Lenatus has under the hood. He's going to come up and he's going to start his lap now. Key things here, of course, going to be carrying your momentum through some of these medium and high speed corners. See, hugging those apexes, keeping an eye on your rear axle. Careful of those sausage curbs on the outside, as they can be very punishing. You can never be too careful with that. Gently arcing his way around. Lenatus really carrying a smooth time thus far. He's got a really good handle on that car. Going up to the end is going to be slightly lower. VMAX is going to be 279 before he jumps on the brakes, so going to carry a little more speed hopefully through those corners. We see him going a little bit wide there as well. So hopefully it is still valid. My telemetry is not showing whether the lap is still valid or not. Carrying some old data. A little bit frustrating there. We're not getting that detail. Michael Bull, curiously, on the bronze side, has not got a lap done and down. Will not be getting a chance to start with the rest of his field. He is going to be at the back of the grid. Well, here we go. Lenatus, initial time. First on the board, what will it be? Comes up to line very fast and smooth. 54.4, but it is invalid. So let's see who can follow suit. Is Guillemar 53.4, immediately setting those timing boards alight. Björklund either 54.0. Meanwhile, Dave Marsh is going to make his way round through that final sector now. Final couple of corners. Johan Larsson 53.6. Wolfslenner 54.1. And Justin Cutler with 54.8. So first 5 times across the board. Lindblom coming in with a 53.120. Marsh with a 4.9. And then there's Holmberg as well with a 4.8. A few more cars now making their way. A couple of invalids. So Reed, Hamby, McNair coming across the line now. Yeah, it's a shame to see Bull never leaving the pits. But McNair up now into P6, 54.262. Reportedly, we saw 52.8 in practice, so that is going to be a ridiculous bar to hit. That is going to be a tough bar to match. So practice is a whole nother kettle of fish. I like the 10-minute break before the start. Well, fair play to you, mate. Fair play to you. But I say, this format has its perks, shall we say. It really does have its perks. Let's see, Guillermo really pushing and... wait, I just only clocked that. Guillermo just got a 52.8. What? Wait. Run that back just a moment. 52.8. We haven't even got to the end of qualifying. That's the kind of lap you see on your final runs, and now he's only gone and just matched practice 1 for 1. Taking a personal pit stop. I love that wording. I love that. But, KMR, what a gauntlet to throw down. Now, Liam Blom is looking very quick here, but it seems like his Sector 2 tends to let him down. With KMR's perfect run of the Sector 3 gained him a ton of time. We'll see if there's anyone else on the docket for potential improvements. We're going to see Linatas coming up to the end of the start-finish straight. He did get a time on the boards finally with a 54.4. Hamby still yet to get a time, but looking like he's on good form. A 53 could be on the cards for him. We'll check in with him periodically, but Linatas with another invalid. So he is going to have to go one more time. Björklund behind as well. AMR slightly down on previous. Liam Blom could be about a 10th up. Remember, all he needs is 0.2 of a second. Just over 0.2. And he will be in winning form. Meanwhile, Hamby just needs to link this lap together. And he's going to be in for a big win. We are in the final 2 minutes of qualifying, so these are potentially the last runs that you will see. Liam Blom coming up to the line as well, not too far behind in the 888. Going to be Hamby coming up to the start-finish line right now. What is he going to be able to muster? It is a 54.1. Solid showing. Liam Blom gets 53.017, so slight improvement, but nothing yet to challenge. Marsh, meanwhile, getting a 54.7, slight jump on his competitors. And McNair looking like he could be setting something here too. We'll see what McNair has to bring, although he has gone a little bit slow in that final sector. He has improved, but not enough for position. He remains in P7. GMR looking like he could be matching, if not slightly exceeding his previous. He's going to go slightly faster here, 285. Really pushing that limiter there, but going very deep into that corner at the top straight. Wonder if that is still going to be considered a legal lap. Still flashes purple, but looks like all's okay. He's right on the cusp of it being a fastest though. He's certainly going to bring it right to the end. Yeah, teetering on that edge there. Points for consistency, but we need a faster. He wants to make sure that he is seen as the king of Paul Ricard. Coming up to the line. Any improvement? 0.980. About a 10th down, unfortunately. No improvements here. Björklund just got a 53.2. That's going to put him second row. Will there be any challenges? No improvement for Wolfslener. Slight improvement for Larson. No improvement on position, though. Last runs for the field as they now come up to the line. Qualifying has come to an end, so any current laps need to be completed. Most of the field has already jumped into the pits. McNair, Hamby, Holmberg, Linatus, they've all called it time. Marsh is improving on time, but not enough to get past Linatus and get into the top 10. Meanwhile, here's Damien Reed coming up to the start finish here and is going to get a 54.9, but is going to remain in P12 on this one. Lindblom into the pits. Best he's going to get is a P2. Looks like Guillemard has this, and he's going to even try and push the envelope even further. He's a 10th up. We'll see if Guillemard can improve even further on his time, as many others now have joined the pits. It's only Björklund, Wolfslander and Cutler remaining out on circuit. Björklund just behind Guillemard, who we're on board with right now. Then Wolfslander followed by Cutler. Wolfslander, I believe, is on an invalid lap, so I don't know if he's just going to retire straight to the pit lane. But Guillemard coming up to the line, a little bit shaky on the final corner, but is there going to improvement? No! So close, but no improvement made, neither for Björklund. Wolfslander coming into the pit lane here, you can see, and then Cutler coming to finish the whole thing off. There you go, that is time, folks. So, taking stock of the current scenario, we have Guillemard in pole position with a 52.865. David Lindblom lining up in second with a 53.0, and then the 53.2 coming from Nicholas Björklund in the orange Mustang. Meanwhile, next set of cars in the silver, it's going to be Rich Arscombe, followed closely by Alex North, 17 milliseconds apart. Insane margins between the two of them, with a 54.980 and 997 respectively, followed closely by Randy Zimmer in the orange Ferrari, the number 141, with a 55.165. Finally, looking to your bronze classes, I'm not going to say it this time, it's John Gabbert with a 56.052, leading by a few tenths off Rog Dismukes and then Stuart Holmes in second and third, with a 56.3 and a 56.7 respectively. That's your top three for the entire field anyway, at least. And once we start lining up on track, we will take you through our full grid walk of the racers and all 30 drivers who are going to be bringing the heat today. Unfortunately, like we said, Michael Bull did not get a chance to leave the pit lane. He did not leave the pits, so he will be starting from the back of the grid in P30. But 15 cars roughly on the gold side. In fact, no, say 12 cars in gold. Then you have 8 cars in silver and 10 cars in the bronze. We've got a pretty balanced set overall. Really good representation of all three classes tonight. No one's going to be washed out or anything like that. Very pleasant to see. We are just waiting for final deployment to the race instance of the server, and there we go, folks. There we are indeed. So, let's take our full grid walk here as things are about to get underway. Just going to get final confirms that everything is ready to go, and then it's time to make it happy and make it some good racing. Lindblom is going to be behind in second, but it's Guillemard who takes pole position and completes the first row. A little bit of an inversion compared to previous events, and certainly going to spice up that championship final fight. Björklund is going to be in third place with Johan Larsson lining up just behind him, also in the Mustang. The two Wolfpack cars backing up the rear and backing up their pole position teammate. Row 3 is going to go to another Wolfpack car. It's the 196 of Peter Wolfslander. The Mustang tends to be a favourite with these guys, but I can see why with this performance. Cutler in 6th, holding strong with the Nismo in the number 35, and then closely behind another Nismo. This time it's Colin McNair in the number 13, and looking sharp, might I say so. Hamby strong livery designer, an even stronger racer in 8th position in the number 84, and then Holmberg in the 231 Wolfpack Mustang is going to start off row 5, completing your top 10 with Thomas Lenatus in the number 12 Audi. Final 2 gold class cars before we move on to the silvers. It's Dave Marsh in P11 with the number 27 Porsche, closely followed by Damien Reed in the 979 Lexus. Moving on to your silvers, it's going to be Rich Arscombe leading the silver group with the number 76 Vantage, closely followed by Alex North in his beautiful Homage 207 car. Randy Zimmer is going to be in the next row, taken third in that order, and then Robert Homer is going to close in alongside with a number 6. And looking very nice with that white and red two-tone on that Porsche there. Paul Murray is going to be next up in the Pepsi Max number 90 720S, and then Matthias Martinson, another Wolfpack entrant, is going to be in the number 7 Mustang. Completing row 10 is going to be John Mitchell with a lovely throwback livery on the number 24 Porsche, and close behind that menacing race livery. It's stock, but it does the job. It's the 992 of Eero Vasuri. Final 10 then, as we head into the bronze class cars, is John Gabbett in the number 21, and looking very sharp indeed. Roger Dismukaz liveryless, but certainly not paceless. He's going to be holding firm in that third spot, and or say in that fourth spot, sorry. And there's Stuart Holmes in the second spot, or number 2 with the McLaren. Trickett is going to be in P24 with the 115 McLaren, and then Craig Niesbet is going to be 25th in the 331. Peter Smith, another McLaren driver, and in the 113 with a little bit sort of that mint green or slash blue. Christian Sullivan in that deep blue Lamborghini Huracan, and then final 3 cars you have Richard Colomb in the white with red, the Otto Racing 774 McLaren, Helge Olsen in the 949, and completing your order is going to be Michael Bull. I'll say really impressive showing and really strong driver set here joining us today. Now, you know the rules if you've been here before, but if you haven't, main things to remember: 60-minute race, mandatory pit stop, no pit window, but fuel is required. Tyres are optional, and it's a strategic option should you choose to take it. I don't know if around here that tyres are going to be a massive call, considering that you aren't going to be pushing those tyres too hard. You will give them a chance to cool down during this back straight, especially with the lack of chicane. You're not going to have much work to do. You're going to be able to balance the heat of your brakes fairly well as well. Yeah, we're going to see what this can do. Now, of course, if you are watching live at home, let us know your predictions, who you want to see come out on top, and that can be for any class: bronze, silver, gold, you name it, it's there. Let us know as well who you want to see bring a bit of a surprise, maybe an underdog performance. Yeah, bring the heat. Remember, 12 golds, 8 silvers, 10 bronzes, all fighting for their own championships, their own causes, and ultimately to walk away from Season 9 potentially champion, if not certainly as a contender and a winner in their own right. But here we go. Now I'm going to be lining up for full formation, double file, 60 kilometers. It's a beautiful evening here at Paul Ricard. It's 8 PM local, 10 kilometer crosswind, so still gonna have to be careful of slight variations of your aero. 20 degrees though means going to be perfect temperatures for a high and dry race. Keep those tyres nice and sticky, but still keep the thermals under control. As we round out the final corner, going to be the second to last time of me saying it this season, but the track is hot here at SimSeniors for the 9th season of racing, for the 9th round. And this is where championships are made or broken. Let's see that green flag from race control and let the fun begin. Here we go, green light, and we are away immediately. The drag race begins. Lindblom and Guillemot getting their race socks on. And it's going to be Lindblom with a really strong start. Great launch from him, and he's going to try and assert that dominance early. He wants to be on that right side. He's going to have dominance over the next couple of corners. He can squeeze Guillemot out, but he's going to have none of it. Really good and smooth run coming out from the Mustang. He's going to put Lindblom back in his place for now. Meanwhile, further down, we're going to see a couple of trades, a little bit of contact between Björklund and Wolfslanner as they fight for spots. Hamby is going to try and get his elbows out, get a little bit dirty at the same time. Michael Bull starting from the pit lane. Oh no, that's going to be a tip round for Linatus as Hamby makes contact with his rear quarter. Linatus is going to be limping off to the side. I think there is a technical issue with his car, or something has seriously gone wrong. Yeah, something's gone very wrong. It looks like he's completely out of it. We have lost visual entirely. Just like that. Just like that, folks. We have lost Linatus. I don't know whether that was an intent or if there was a genuine technical issue. Of course, if he does pop up in chat, then we'd love to hear his story. Back onto the track, though. Lindblom being displaced now into third place as Johan Larsson has decided that he wants to make a play. Now, it's good to see Larsson back in fighting form. We have seen him sort of in the middle of the gold class for a little bit. Occasionally, he has had some moments of form, but it's good to see him fighting at the sharp end again. Remember, these two have had a couple of squabbles in prior seasons, but they certainly have got some grit and they have got some race pace between each other. So we're going to have a couple of trades around in the middle of things as well. The Silvers are going tooth and nail. Iro is going to have a slight contact with John Mitchell, but who is that? That is Martinson dropping back, having gone way too deep into the penultimate corner. And there's fighting even further back as that is going to be Rich Arscombe. Not going to be in the lead of things as he may have hoped, but actually dropping down quite significantly, having to play a bit of recovery. Even John Gabbett's knocking on the door of Martinson, trying to get a bit of a run. First couple of laps never disappoint here in SimSeniors, and it looks like Paul Ricard is no different. Lindblom is going to be trying to reassert a attack onto P2. Also see Dismiquez, remember, third in the championship for the bronzes. He has got a lot to prove here, and he's right on the tail of Gabbert. He's going to be certainly putting him under pressure. Stuart Holmes is breathing down his neck here. He could have a chance to get some major points and slingshot himself away, although Holmes has had some kind of technical issue because he's peeled off to the inside of the track. Actually, no, looks like he's fine. Just looks like he had a slight issue with keeping it on. Maybe a bit of lift-off oversteer that he managed to catch. Meanwhile, Lindblom coming off of the side of the circuit, getting an invalid lap compared to Larsson, who just kept it that little bit tighter. See Reed and Marsh also going for a bit of a squabble. Hopefully we get to see that Lexus open up the taps, because I know that thing can be quite a machine, if sometimes difficult to tame. Okay, that slightly older machine being brought still into competitive state via BOP. It's a lesser pick. It's a less popular pick, but still a very welcome sight. We're going to see the drag race reignite, but this time it's not going to be Guillemot, it's going to be Larsson. One thing I will say is with the Wolfpack cars, they do tend to prefer the Mustangs. I mean, they're pretty much all cars in the Wolfpack team have been the Mustang. I know at one point Larsson ran the McLaren. I'm not sure if he was at Wolfpack at that time. I'm a little curious to see how they get affected by BOP, because, of course, if the Mustang gets reined in a little bit, then that is going to affect their whole team, because they've put all their eggs in the Mustang-flavoured basket. Going a little bit deep there, Larsson has taken a suboptimal line, heading onto the back straight. This could be Lindblom's chance. If he wants to go for it, now could be a very good time. Tailing in very close. Looks like he's actually going to go for a bit of a bump draft here. I think he's trying to get Larson closer to Guillemard so he can retake second and first at the same time. There you go, folks. We're back. Apologies for that. But back onto the circuit. And now back onto the action. Homer coming up to Paul Murray here. We'll see if he can get a chance to close in. It's interesting how split the three classes have stayed. It is quite interesting how they haven't really commingled with each other. In previous rounds and previous seasons, we have seen these guys be all over the place. I think this is the cleanest split that we have ever seen. John Mitchell going slightly deep there. We'll see what Eero as well has in the tank, as he is going to be facing serious pressure from Mitchell just behind him. Back at the front as well, we do see McNair going for a challenge on fellow Nismo driver Justin Cutler. Can't catch a break. I feel you, man. I really do. It's such a brutal way to start your race, and I can understand the decision made. Hopefully the last round goes much smoother for you. Sorry to see what happened in lap 1. Lindblom is really putting down the pressure. Larson and Guillemard are his primary targets right now. Guillemard less so. I think he needs Larson to pick up the pace, and I think that's partially why he's staying behind him so much. I think he really just needs him to push. So Lindblom is going to be certainly a competitive driver, as we know. He can get the elbows out upon requirement. There's Michael Ball having a brief local yellow as well. But eyes remain trained to the top as Lindblom's going to go for it down the apex out of the back straight. He is going to have to leave the door open though, as Larson is still on the still on the inside. Very well carried though. Speed fully maintained, and Lindblom is going to come out on top versus Larson. Now, this is the interesting thing. Is Guillemard keeping up enough pace to be able to fend off the potential closing in of Lindblom? Remember, Guillemard was the fastest in qualifying, so I don't think we're going to see that gap close quickly. check in with McNair as well in a second to see how he's doing. Is he still on the back of Cutler? We do have a few more drivers that we of course want to keep an eye on. Bull, curiously, it looks like at least from internal data, he has taken a pit stop. Now, I'm not sure if that is from the lap 1 pit start or whether that is a genuine pit stop. Either way, we're going to have to wait and confirm. So we'll see how the field goes as Mitchell is on the back of Ito, who's on the back of Homer, who's on the back of Murray. Pressure is certainly on. So Mitchell could have something on his hands here. There's two ways that he could play this. Option one is, of course, he continues to pressure on Iro and he goes for those overtakes. Option two, which I think actually might be smarter for him here, let Murray, Homer and Vasuri fight of their own accord and then pick up the scraps. If they make a mistake, then he's going to be right there to capitalize. If they start squabbling between themselves, they're going to lose time. They're going to bring him right to him. And we see right here, there's Murray and Homer making a trade for position in the foreground, and Iro is kind of waiting behind. That's going to bring them all closer together. Saying that though, Homer has actually managed to get a clean breakaway and has already got a second. I don't know how much that theory is going to hold up. Iro coming very close here as we go through the penultimate corner. There's Mitchell. He's going to be stacking for the overtake. Gets the narrow on the apex. Having to duck in further though. A little bit of a tail kick from Iro, forcing a bit of action and defensive maneuver. See Mitchell finally getting that overtake done through the first corner. See if Iro has got much of a counter-attack here, but it looks like Mitchell has got the situation pretty much under control. Iro is going to sniff out a couple of corners, but he's also got Martinson, who is hanging out behind and could, like we saw with Mitchell before him, snap up any mistakes that are made. Good pressure as well from Arscombe. Arscombe's really not had the strongest of races. I mean, you could say the same about Reed, who's unfortunately dropped down to P13 and actually dropped a fair bit away. Yeah, Arscombe has dropped significantly from his start position. Started P13, now P19, and not doing too hot for himself here. You question what's going on in regards to his race, because we are down to 11 gold class runners with the drop of Linatus. So it's a clean 1 to 10, but then you have Reed, who has been overtaken by North and Zimmer. I think there was a yellow flag that caused that earlier, so if we get a chance we'll be able to review that together. So 45 minutes to go, 15 minutes in, and already we have seen quite the fireworks. We're going to look a bit further down as we see Niesbeck going for an attack and getting the move on Christian Sullivan. We haven't paid too much attention, I'll say unfairly so, haven't paid enough attention to the bronze fights, as there have been quite a couple of moves made, particularly in the mid-pack of that group. We have Sullivan, who is fighting alongside Trickett. We have Kalom, who is in the pits and actually being overtaken by Michael Bull on the start of lap 7. I wonder if we're going to see the Huracan chase down the McLaren anytime soon as well. But we are now going to start to see a shift in the race, particularly when it comes to squabbling and fighting for position. There will still be fights, but we have not got much in the way of prolonged fighting just yet, because we will, of course, have the drivers wanting to get some space. They want to get some space, they want to get some laps down, and they want to settle into a good rhythm before the pit strategy inevitably gets them out of a particular scenario. If for the drivers, at least on track, it would make the most sense to try and go optimal. And oh, wait, go back a second. Martinson going deep into the penultimate corner and makes contact with Paul Murray. So Murray was dropping down a couple of positions. Say Martinson being dropped down significantly, actually dropping down behind the bronze leaders of Gabber and Dismaquez. Not a good turn of events for him there. And curiously enough, we are seeing the same split here as we do between Reed and the rest of Gold. 2 cars in between. The parallels, man. The parallels. I've never seen anything like it. Absolutely loving this right now. Oh, that is not good. That was not meant to snap. Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, for the purpose of the audience and the context, I believe that my camera mount just snapped. That was a, we'll call it unhealthy noise. So, let's hope that that's not the case, because it hasn't made that sound before. Either way, not like we need it right now because we are trackside. We'll see if we can get it working and back up and running between now and the final segment. So, Dismaquez getting overtaken by Martinson, who's was working to get himself back into fighting form and back with the rest of his silver compatriots. You're going to see Arscombe as well, really sniffing at the back of Paul Murray. So while we are going to have a little bit of a moment here to watch some of the racing unfold, we are going to have an issue with Christian Sullivan, who has peeled off to the outside of the final corner. I think he's overcooked it, and he's actually going to return to the pit lane. Something has gone very wrong with that Lamborghini, and it looks like he is out. We've just seen him drop out of the session entirely. That is going to be game, set, and match. We also see John Gabbert, who is sniffing at the opportunity of glory because he's on the back of Rich Arscombe. Now, he's got Martinson splicing Dismaquez away from him, but he still has a chance to go for position here. And even if it's not really worth it for him, there could still be a chance, purely on the off basis, that he could get even more positions between himself and P2. Because the purpose changes. When you're talking multi-class racing, there is a unique dynamic. You're not necessarily fighting for positions, and you're not certainly fighting for points. You're talking different races here. What you're fighting for is safety, insurance, a buffer, if you will, towards the other racers in your group. If I was Roger Dismaquez right now, I would be a little bit nervous of the fact that Gabbert is so strong and away. Because he's got not only about 5 seconds of gap, but he has got Martinson in the way. So you're having to do double the work to get a single position. And he could even make that triple, but it doesn't look like he's closing on Arscombe, at least not yet. As predicted, though, we are starting to see the field massively space out. We are going to be watching and learning from the best as Björklund is closing as much as he can to Larsen. Now, one thing I've always been curious of is how the team dynamic plays. Now, I don't know how close Wolfpack are as a team and as an entity. I do not know how they operate, but I am certainly very curious. How much do they coordinate and cooperate as a team? Are they just a for-fun group, or are they a serious racing team? Are they entered in other competitions? I'd love to learn this stuff, because the team looks like they mean business, and they've got so many placements in SIMseniors here. So I think with enough of their presence on the track, I think we can certainly learn a little bit of lore about them. This is where I encourage the pundits of the chat and anyone with any info, enlighten our table. We'd love to know the stories behind the teams, behind the drivers that make up our championships. Back in the realm of bronze, it looks like things have mostly settled. Doesn't look like anyone is going for fights, with the exception of Nisbet trying to catch up on Dismukes. John Gabbert is still going to be sniffing at the back of Rich Arscombe, and he's actually going to be going for it. He's going to go side by side into the first corner, chasing down on the narrow, and is going to get the move into the first and second corners. A little bit of a tail waggle, not looking too planted, but he's got the move done. Certainly impressed here. Gabbert will still be running smooth, and now with two silver racers between himself and Dismukes, it looks like the terms of the race have shifted majorly in his favour. So the situation has almost done a bit of a 180. Although Martinson is not going to let that one go so easy, because he is going to be chasing Arscombe and even teeing up for a attack on the likes of the Aston. Believe Gabbert received some setups from Lindblom, and it shows. Well, if that is the case, then he's certainly putting them to good use. Now, I'm a big believer that setups only enhance the underlying driver rather than make you into a racing god overnight. Because you can have driving styles and you can adjust to certain setups, but a strong driver can still be good with a bad setup, but a bad driver, even with a good setup, can't make it work. That's what I'm saying here with Gabbert. I think Gabbert is certainly showing the enhancements and showing some of that underlying talent. If that is the case, he's got setups from the best in the season, then he's making really good use of it. It's made it a lot easier for him to extract the most out of the car. We're going to see Arscombe heading into the pits relatively early to the rest of the field, so curious to see where he comes out there after all is said and done. Remember, you can time your pit stop strategically. If you're looking to dodge the field, go for a bit of an undercut, come out in some clean air, and then you will be rewarded in time. Stuart Holmes also going to join him in the pit lane. You're looking at relatively short pit stops here at Paul Ricard. Certainly not matching the lengths of the others. We have seen in the past, say, 1:30 to 2-minute pit stops. Here it tends to be around the sort of 70-second mark. By the time you're out of the pit lane, it's looking more like 60 seconds. So we'll see how quickly Arscombe is able to make it out of here. He's coming up to the exit and is going to potentially be coming out lapped, as there is Gayamar just going across alongside. And we'll see a 66-second pit stop coming in from Rich. I think that's the fastest that we've seen out of everyone yet. Yeah, we are looking at, say, 60 to 70-second pit stops, I think. That's looking like the bar. Checking in with Gabbert. Gabbert is still doing really well here. He has got Martinson in his rear view, of course, capitalising on Arscombe's pits. There will be a chance for him to still push forward. But at this point, it's going to be looking like he's just wanting to keep things smooth, keep things simple. We're going to see Damien Reed on the back of Randy Zimmer as well, trying to get himself reunited with the rest of the field. Be able to clean run through at least this next segment. Looks like Zimmer isn't the fastest on the back straight. Looks like this could be a chance here for Damien, as he's easily going to eclipse 290 kilometers an hour. That Lexus is a real powerhouse. 294 before he has to jump on the brakes. Wow. I was certainly expecting some speed out of that Lexus, but I was not expecting that. Looking like a rocket ship down the back. And there you go, that is Reed getting himself reunited. We're at least one step closer to being reunited. And meanwhile, Martinson is going to finally close the door and bring them back together. Martinson is back with the rest of his silver racers, but don't know if that's going to be short-lived because he just went way too hot into the start of Sector 3. Just went way too deep there. Gabbert still keeping it nice and balanced. It does help that he's in the NSX because obviously Lindblom can share his setup if he so wished to. We're going to see Justin Cutler into the pits at the same time. Michael Ball going for a second pit stop. I'm not sure whether that first pit stop was legitimate or whether the telemetry and data counted his pit start as one as well. Either way, it's all big squeeze. They're looking a little dangerous there for Martinson. Gabbert is forced to take to the escapes, and it looks like Martinson has done the same. Let's actually get a bit of a replay on that. Let's see exactly what happened, because I am certainly curious to know. So we're going to take our time here. Going to go to the helicam. And we will see Martinson, of course, squeezing off John Gabbert onto the escape route, and both of them just going way too hot, way too deep. And in the end, Gabbert is going to have the last laugh. He's going to be able to get himself past, and now going into the lead once again with a silver class driver in tow. And quite far in tow too. In fact, Rog Dismukes is even closer. He is much closer. See Lindblom and Larson along with Holmberg all heading into the pits at the same time. So that's going to give Guillemard a bit of free run. Björklund is going to be a whole 10 seconds away, so it doesn't look like he's a major threat, at least not yet. McNair is going to be certainly making the most of the situation too, although he's been running in clean air for quite a while. We're coming up to the half-hour mark, so let us know what you're thinking of the race so far. This is the perfect time, theoretically, for everyone to pit in. It's going to be your optimal changeover point, and right now is going to be looking like the place to be, especially if you want to escape some traffic. Although I can't say the same for the leaders, as we are going to jump in with a Lindblom right now. He's going to be one of the first to jump out the pit lane of that front cohort. He's going to slot in right behind John Gabbert. He's going to come right into the path of Dismukes. He's going to have to peel to the inside. Niesbet jumping on the brakes to avoid collision. That's the one thing I will say about Paul Ricard. The pit exit takes you right onto the ideal line of turn 1, so you have to be very cautious and very mindful if anyone is coming out the pit lane. So making sure that you are not getting yourself into any trouble. Hamby, meanwhile, coming out of the pits as well, along with a few others. Martinson, Homo, Vasuri, Trickett, all coming together and out of the line now. Let's say Liam Blom currently leads out of everyone who has pitted in. This is a crucial moment for Guillermo. Even Björklund now heading in at this point, along with Wolfslener. Will McNair follow the same pattern and same course? I don't know. If McNair's going to go in next lap or the lap after. Looks like some drivers are taking slightly longer stints. Dave Marsh into the pits too. Guillermo is going to be in an interesting spot. He has no yardstick now. He's not got anyone to measure against, and he's not going to have the luxury of another car pushing him forward. Some drivers thrive through that. He's going to have to hope that his pace is currently good enough to the when he comes out of the pits, he's going to be in a decent spot. Zimmer and Murray both in. Most of the field now completing their pit stops. It's just Gabbert, Dismukes, Niesbet, Smith, Olsen on the bottom half, and then Mitchell, Reed, North, McNair, and Guillermo as described. There will be some chances here to go on the attack, as many drivers rejoining the racing surface. Larson going to try and get right in the thick of it, as Dismukes is going to peel along. And Niesbet's also going to be up there. All trying to slot in around each other and not intrude on their racing space, but acknowledging that you are in the presence of much faster cars is a key element of safety on these multi-classes. You can fight the battle, but you're in a different race, so how much fighting is truly worth it? Murray is going to have a yellow flag as he is going to come out of the pits now. He's going to return out in P21. Peter Smith going to be one of the further ones ahead. Oh, something's happened with John Gabbert. No, what's happened with John Gabbert? He has gone off in... Is that the straight? We're going to need a bit of a rewind on that, ladies and gentlemen. Let's jump on board with the helicopter and see exactly what happened. So this is a live replay. This is John Gabbert coming off of the back straight. And you can see he goes a little bit wide, and oh no, classic lift-off oversteer, sliding and skating all the way to the inside onto the blue stuff. That is going to be an unfortunate end to his reign here, as he's going to be displaced by Dismukes and Niesbet, at least out of the drivers that we can see now. Gabbert going to take the choice of going in, I think trying to minimise his losses. I think that's a good choice. While his mental is out of the game, use the pit stop, take a reset. Because the mental game is just as important trackside. Reed, Niesbet, Gabbert and Smith all into the pits now. So that just leaves Dismukes, Mitchell and North remaining. The field is going to once again converge on their initial positions. Dismukes proving to be a little bit of a red herring in that regard, as the Pro/Gold class has been fully reunited. Reed has actually managed to undercut and get past the other silvers. He's going to reunite fully with the golds. A little bit of a different story, as Martinson is actually no, Martinson's just going to overtake as Peter Smith has joined the pits. And the question is when those front three are going to be going in. That will be a major tell to the next stage of this race. North is going to be jumping in. Will Mitchell follow suit? Let's see here, coming up. Looks like he's going to be running narrow, and yes, he is going to be coming into the pit lane. Last one, of course, on the docket is Roger Dismukes. Will be right in the middle of it all. He's going to be marooned in a sea of gold class racers, and he is fighting hard. I think he may be enjoying his brief time in the sun there, but looks like he is. Yes, he is also going to be jumping in. So everyone at this point has taken a pit stop, and there's going to be a last 25-minute dash to the line. Also see a lot of drivers have spaced off. Now, I'm going to take a brief 60-second break from the mic in order to try and fix the camera mount, in order to get the cameras back post-race. I will leave you on the camera of Björklund, as it looks like he could be trying his best to close in on the next closest competitors. There we go. I believe that we have it fixed, but we will sort of see. We'll test fit it closer to the time. See if it can hold the weight of the camera. Which, by the way, folks, a little bit behind the curtain, my camera is just my phone. The phone with an app. That's it. I'm surprised at how good the quality is, but I guess phone cameras really are just that powerful now. Handles all of the post-processing, things like that. A really, really nice camera. Well, put it to good use. And so, no fancy setup required, no DSLRs, although that is the dream. It's not within my budget, nor my means. And so, phone camera has done the job plenty. Ironically, a massive upgrade from what was previously a very expensive camcorder. 1080p, 50 megabits per second. Megabytes per second. And yet it looked like the inside of a Vaseline tube. So, take with that what you will. We'll see with Eero. Now, final 20 minutes coming through here. Mitchell is going to be in his crosshair. And this is going to be a battle for P4 on his hands. Sunset looking absolutely beautiful here in France. Mighty sunset. I think you can always appreciate that, man, this game can actually be pretty beautiful sometimes. Although I haven't got everything, as you can see from the splitter, I haven't got everything quite cranked up. Opting to keep things stable for the stream. We see North being overtaken by Damien Reed here, as he's not content with being put behind. They Reed briefly floating it in neutral. Is he trying to do a little bit of lift and coast here? Was that just a slightly slower gear change? Just taking a bit of a moment of respite here. We are 20 minutes away from the end. Now, taking a session in review, it's been up and down for a few different drivers. Now, we have some big winners and some big losers. Rich Arscombe, unfortunately, has had a difficult time. Remember, started P13 and is now sitting in 18th position. So, has dropped down through the most of the field. He did start right at the sharp end of silver and are now in race trim. Doesn't look like Paul Ricard's combo, doesn't look like today's his day. Meanwhile, on the other side of the spectrum, though, we have big gains for both John Mitchell and Iro Vasuri. They're both really looking strong out here, and they've made some major gains. They continue to push each other forward, too. So, very impressed with both these drivers as they continue to race, as well as Andy Trickett. He has jumped up the order. He's kind of snuck under the radar for a lot of us here, as he's not been too talked about, and yet either through the pit window or just keeping it strong and remaining resolute with no dramas, he's snuck his way into first place. Very impressed. Very, very impressed. As I said, we do have a couple of other cars who have made some more minor gains. I say Björklund unfortunately dropping down, but has dropped down to Larson and Wolfslander. We have Robert Homer, who's made a couple of gains as well. Reed is going to be up. Of course, that is going to be in part due to Lenatus' retirement, as he was in P12 at the start. I'm also taking a bit of a moment just to appreciate the season. We are still one away from the end, but this is going to be... I think this actually marks my 5th season on the trot. I think I joined season 5? I want to say season 5. But this will technically mark... Yeah, I believe it is my 5th season as commentator here at SIMseniors. That's crazy to think about. It has been a long path. Yeah, say season 5 I started, and season 9 we're here now. What a journey it has been. And of course we are going to be coming into our first double digits next season, season 10. After this, very, very soon. I don't have dates yet, nor am I going to spoil it if I had them. But I think it's going to be another winner, another corker of a season. If season 9 is anything to go by, I think we are in for a massive, massive treat. And it's been a massive treat to be your commentator for so long through it all. See McNair going side by side. Cutler is going to be on the inner. Heading into Paul Ricard. Ooh, big slide coming from Colin. Points for catching it, though. That was a massive slip angle. And yet he holds it like a champ. That man knows how to control a car, let me tell you. We are 15 minutes out, so this is make or break time for a lot of racers. You either commit to your position or you see what you can attack on and get some last minute hits in. They call him McDrift for a reason. Perfectly said, my friend. Perfectly said. The man can take a slip angle or two. That much is sure. All saying that Michael Bull has gone around. We're going to jump on the helicopter as he's going to be on the outside waiting for a window where he can rejoin the traffic. He's going to be going to the apex and down in P28. Well, back on track at least. You see Mitchell and Vasuri still bringing the heat. Engdahl. There you are, Engdahl. Where have you been? I did think that there was a missing face. And now we have our answer. I'm going to put my teacher pants on for a second. I'm going to put on my teacher trousers. I'm going to be asked why, what brings you here so late on? Of course I kid. Circumstances, I imagine. Fair reason. Well, good to have you in chat anyway, Jimmy. Really good to see you. I say Colin still coming in hot. Yeah, you can see even now he's fighting to keep that slip angle under control. Do you ever wonder if he does it deliberately? If he deliberately sets up slip to be able to go for stylish drifts when he has the camera on? I do wonder that occasionally. Now that the thought has been brought up and we've seen a couple of slides, well, I say a couple, that's an understatement. We'll see McNair really putting pressure on Cutler. I wonder if these two are going to spring the trap and go for a move. It's going to be a close call. I wonder as well if he's going to be biding his time. Now we know that McNair likes to run things a little bit fast and loose. And we know that we can also see some aggression out of him. He knows how to get the elbows out when push comes to shove. So I wonder here if it is genuinely a case of he's trying to get close but can't quite bring it. Or if there is a situation where he's actually holding back and waiting for a better time. I've seen McNair's driving style develop and grow over the course of these seasons. There's a reason he's now running in the gold and bringing the top flight racing. Going to see Peaks around the outside, could be trying to tee up a switchback, goes for the narrower line. He is going to push here, and he's going to go side by side with him into Sector 3. Goes a little bit hot. Cutler could get a chance to return to sender, but no. McNair is going to close the door, tighten up on that latter half of the apex, and just like that, as we head to the final complex, McNair is leading on Cutler in P6. Though a little bit of a wobbly exit is going to keep Cutler in chance. And in fact, he's going to try and peek around the outside. Too deep there for Cutler. A swing and a miss is going to all but confirm the move made by the Iron Brew number 13. Cutler now number 35 and down in P7. Iro, meanwhile, still on the back of Mitchell and fighting like his life depends on it. Looks like Mitchell going very deep into that third sector, although space being left. We know Iro to be a bit of a conservative driver. He knows that he likes to leave space. He likes to leave the room for his fellow racers. He's a good sport for sure, but don't be afraid to stand your ground and tell the other racer you move from time to time. As he has certainly conceded a couple of moves where he hasn't always needed to. Now, I'm not saying stop being a good sport. In fact, quite the opposite. Being a good sport also means knowing when to put up a fight and stand your ground. And even though it can sometimes be too much on the conservative side of things. He's otherwise a remarkable driver, and I think he undersells his own potential. We're going to see Cutler going for a round 2 fight. We'll see if he's got what it takes to chance it as he goes to the right and then to the left side. My right and left side. We'll see he's going to be inverted. Chancing it, but not quite getting the lineup. He was side by side heading into that top corner, but he just wasn't able to carry the speed and get the switchback that we saw with McNair just a lap prior. Curiously, though, as we peak to the top, all has been quiet on the sharp end of the scale, and Guillemot has been a big part of that. He has been holding the line and really been ruthlessly consistent. He hasn't got the best peak times. It's 2/10 behind Lindblom, although Lindblom's was an invalid. But Guillemot is still consistently lapping in the 154s. Last lap was about a 10th faster than Lindblom's. We'll see if he's able to keep that pace up. If he can keep this together, he could have the win. He's only got about 4 or 5 laps left to go. It is going to be a game of chicken as now we enter the crucial final phase. Dismuquet, meanwhile, onto the back of Trickett. Going to be challenging for the lead of the bronze. Going to try and wrap it in close. We know that the McLaren does have slightly more top end than the Porsche, but the Porsche can take a little bit more slip angle and power out of corners just that bit better. Whether you can manipulate the car in your favour. We do have a yellow flag coming out for the number 2 car. That is Stuart Holmes. Meanwhile, a drive-through for the number 141. That's Randy Zimmer. Has dropped him to the back of Silva. See if Dismuquet has anything under the hood, any tricks that he wishes to share, as meanwhile he is going to be under some pressure of his own. Guillemot is trying to go for a lap and lap on the competition. We will see now that because it's standing in the way. Blue flags are of course going to be considered. We'll see him peel out. Remember, blue flags only apply if you are a lap down. They do not apply if you are in a different class and on the same lap. You can still get the elbows out and fight in those conditions, as you are still running the same space of track. Or at least that's my understanding. Feel free to correct me if I am wrong. We'll see what Arscombe is going to ask to come out and play, as he's coming up to the back of Paul Murray. And we have got about 3 laps left of racing to go. We aren't going to have much more time here on the course. So including this lap, it will be 4 more. We'll likely finish on lap 31 is my prediction. Given the current timings and assuming no mess-ups. The Arscombe going a little bit hot into this final complex of corners, but could be setting up a switch and trying to get a sharp send into those last 2 corners. See him get close. Runs slightly wide. Notice how he's varying his lines to stay out of the wake of Murray. You've got both dirty air plus rising thermals to consider. If you stay in a slipstream for too long, your car will overheat. You're not getting that laminar flow of air. You're not getting a clean intake to the radiators. You have to occasionally dip out of the slipstream, let your car cool, or your brakes or your tyres if you're starting to get excess temperature, and then dip back in. Curiously, we are going to see Martinson heading into the pit here. I believe that is for a drive-through penalty, as we don't see him stopping at any stage. So he is going to be dropping right down well into bronze territory, and yes, that was a drive-through confirmed for the number 7 car. He will be coming out in P23 and immediately under pressure from, I think that's Johan Larsson. Yes, that is. He's going to yield to blue flag. Blue flag conditions. John Mitchell is going to be getting a move on Robert Homer. Curiously. So Mitchell is looking for a hunt on position. Now, we know that Mitchell has some serious race pace. That much is not up for debate. We have seen it time and time again. Question is, will he be able to catch up to North in time? I don't know if there's going to be enough time here for him. 2 seconds between Homer and Mitchell, but 11 seconds coming up for the likes of Mitchell to North. Honestly, if I was in Mitchell's situation, I'd get a couple of seconds gap and I'd leave it there. I don't think it's worth such an aggressive push considering the time constraints that you have. So yeah, a couple of potential shifts. A Bull and Martinson, only drivers along with Zimmer to take a second pit stop. So we will have a big question mark hanging over some of the racers. Unfortunately, the camera mount is looking like a lost cause, so I'll have to look at that off of the broadcast. I won't be able to patchwork it at this point in time, so sadly no camera when we return to the other side. Apologies, folks. Hardware failure this time. Hero, though, really closing in. Remember, penultimate lap. So time is of the essence. If you want to move, you've got to do it, and you've got to do it now. Hero is going to be lined up well for the inside line, though. There's going to be Homer with a squeeze. Contact made. And Hero chooses to back off. Now, this is a situation where I am actually quite happy that Hero has backed off. Because if it's a choice between you sticking your ground and losing the car and your entire race, you're better off just yielding the couple of tenths. If you're unhappy about it, flag it to the stewards. But that's a situation where you should be yielding off. If you know that your car is in potential danger, and with the contact made, usually that is a major warning sign to back off. We'll say this race goes by much quicker when you're on a couch. I can imagine it does. It's much less intense, and you're much less involved in the heat of the moment. Now, we are going to see, just in the background of things, Guillemard is coming up to start his potential final lap, although it actually could be quite close on the timings. I think we're actually going to see 2 more laps here. He's just going to squeeze it in with a few seconds to go, it seems. Going to be very close. Yeah, no, we're going to have 1 more lap, it looks like. It seems to me that Guillemard is going to cross that line with just a couple of seconds to go. So it is actually going to be 32 laps that we will see by the end. We will see Hero as well. Once again, going for the drag race against Robert Homer. This is properly neck and neck. These two have not left each other alone for a split second. Hero is still going to have the advantageous line, but the question is, will Homer pull the same tactic that he did last time out on this corner? Looks like Hero is going to be having dominance of the apex, though, and is not going to suffer the same fate. He's going to get himself ahead, and by half a second too. That is a well-executed move for 3rd place in the Silvers. Rich on the back of Murray could be potentially an opportunity here. We're going to see them go side by side through the 3rd sector. Looks like Arscombe could just have this one, as Murray has to dip back. Poor line, and having to return to the outer edge of the circuit. That is going to compromise him about half a second, and just like that, we will see Arscombe now into P5. Remember, Martinson is all the way marooned down with the bronze cars because he had the drive-through penalty to clear. final chances here for the field to bring it in. It is officially the last lap. They can hear from race control themselves. The leader has started the final lap. And the timer has officially elapsed. So, taking stock of the race scenario, we have once again seen all of the golds, all of the silvers mostly, and all of the bronzes fully re-merge together. Although we are seeing an issue. There's Helga Olsen driving backwards in order to rotate their car as they've gone far too deep on the outside of the top end of the track and out into the third sector. That's going to drop him well down into the crosshairs of potentially Stuart Holmes, as Peter Smith is well out of the question space-wise. But no, saying all of that though, we head down the back straight. We have got Lindblom, who is waiting in the wings, but he's going to be 1.5, nearly 2 seconds away. So unless there is a major mess up from Guillemard, I think he could have this one clear here. And he's been ruthlessly consistent throughout all of the time. He hasn't put a foot wrong. Even now, he is lapping perfect 154s. In fact, 154 on the dot, as you can see, was his last lap. So holding the best clean time, 153.6. He crowns it in qualifying, and that set him up for success. He's going to keep that momentum going all the way to the end and to the ragged edge of the circuit. AMR, you have faced tough odds and tough competition, but as you round through that final corner, take a proverbial bow as you line up and you run narrow. What's this? Wait a minute, what's going on here? He yields off in the final straight to give Lindblom the win. What? What? Okay, that is a change of events, to be sure. I was not expecting that at all. I would love to be enlightened, because it seemed like that race was all smooth. And then he yields it. Maybe you're right. Guillemard maybe doesn't want the weight added. Remember, say Lindblom is currently on 20 kilos of ballast, Wolfslander on 25, and Björklund is actually got 10 kilos removed in order to bring the BOP together. But Lindblom is your winner, with Guillemard going into second, and then third going to Johan Larsson. Maybe he is just trying to save for that final race with minimal ballast where possible. Björklund, Wolfslander and McNair make 4th, 5th and 6th, and then the top 10 closes out with Cutler, Holmberg, Hamby and Marsh. Meanwhile, we do have Damien Reed completing the gold class of drivers, and then the last three coming in from silver to finish things off. It's going to be Alex North just coming across the line, John Mitchell in second for the silvers, and then Iro is going to be a few seconds away, closely chased by Robert Homer, but not quite going to be able to get the run on him here. Third and fourth secured. Fifth is going to go to most likely Rich Arscombe, as Paul Murray is going to be 6th behind him. And then it's going to be Randy Zimmer in 7th. And then in 8th in the group is going to be Martinson down in 23rd. But then you have Trickett winning the bronze. Dismukes and Niesbeck complete your top 3. And then it's Gabbett with Peter Smith, Olsen, Holmes, Colomb and Bull. What a showing across the board, folks. Absolutely immaculate driving. I am seriously impressed. It has been brilliant to watch these races, and looks like we have dropped the server, so that is going to be... Oh, there you go. Never mind, we are good. We did unfortunately have to say goodbye to Christian Sullivan and Thomas Linatus fairly early on into the race, but there you have it, folks. There you have it indeed. Now, sadly, I haven't been able to get the camera working, like we said, but really impressed. Again, like my face is conveying it. It's just a shame that my mount decided to not convey. But really amazing work from all the drivers. Really great round. Really exciting racing. And of course, this is going to set us up very well for the final race into Japan with Suzuka. You're going to want to be here for it, folks. Whether you're on track, off track, watching at home, whether you're on the Facebook, on the Discord, hope you're going to be there. Of course, if you did enjoy today, be sure to give a little bit of love on the stream. If you do enjoy what we do here, consider subscribing so you keep in touch with the championship and any other events that we may put on. And of course, my name has been Ben Sapsford. I will see you very soon, folks. In a week's time, we will wrap up Season 9. We'll close the 5th season for myself, and we will look forward to Season 10. Big milestone here for SimSeniors, but for that new chapter to begin, one must close. And in order for that to happen, we'll see you here next week. Goodbye, folks. Take care.